Hello, my friends. It's time for another fantastic Revit tip. Except this tip's not even about Revit. What? Actually, we know that we work in Revit, and some people are not just working on their local server or their local computer. They are putting files up on BIM 360. And I only wanted to address this because I'm getting hit with this question quite a bit. So I'll get back to just plain old Revit tips later. I mean, like next week. But right now, I want to address this one thing about permissions. So let's just talk for a second. The account admin creates a project, okay? And then the account admin, the BIM 360 account, creates the project, just puts in, they only have to put in minimal information. They put in minimal information like the project name and what type of construction it is, whether it's residential or whether it's a commercial or educational, like a hospital or something even. You can put in that kind of information. They could also add the address if they wanted to of the site, and they could put in, if they wanted to, the project number. But there's some minimal information they have to put. And they can hit, bam, start project. And it creates a project for the whole team up on the cloud, which is Autodesk has a collaboration cloud where your files are hosted. Okay, so you probably already know this. But once your account admin creates the project, they need to invite one person minimum. They invite someone to the team, and it's usually like the project manager or whoever's going to be the contact person, the BIM manager for that project. And they click a little button when they add them. They make that person, wait for it, the project admin, not the account admin for the all of BIM 360 account, but the project admin for that particular project. And once a person is invited to the project and they are a project admin, they can then invite other members. They can invite the whole team. They can invite other companies, like all of the consultants, and they can start setting up the permissions. So that's where we're going today. I want to show you how to set up the permissions. When you invite someone to the project, they can't see any of the files yet. They get an invite in their email, and then when they click on it, they can't see anything. And I'm sure you've had that issue before. All the people are contacting you going, I can't see any of the files. I can't blah, blah, blah. So let me show you how to set up permissions for people to be able to see the files. Because by adding them to a project, it gives them permission to be a member, but that does not give them permission to see any of the files yet. You have to take a second step. The project admin has to take another step to facilitate that so that people can see what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And then we'll just chit chat, you and me. Okay, let's just talk here. Let me see. Where am I? Share my screen. Click the little button. There we are. Okay. So let's talk here just for a second. Also, this is a little bit about BIM 360 and where it's been and where it's going. When Autodesk first came out with BIM 360, they called it BIM 360 Teams. Okay, that was generation 1. That was their first stab at this whole thing. And they did a pretty good job. But it was very confusing and people didn't really accept it. And they said, no way, I'm not putting my files up on the internet. But this was their attempt. BIM 360 Teams was their first attempt to collaborate with other firms and other disciplines on the internet, okay? And it had a slow start, but then they came up with generation 2, which was just BIM 360, okay? They got rid of the word teams and they made it BIM 360, and they started really putting effort into it and doing some, they made it a collaborative place where you can place your Revit files up online and you can work on them from there. So they're not on your server, they're actually online. So your whole team is working online on BIM 360. And then you can invite the structural engineer to put their file up there and you link to it and you can see their work. It's not live like we would all think, oh, well, he's moving the column, I should be able to see it moving. It doesn't work that way. We all understand that. You have to hit synchronize to get the update. But it still was a place. BIM 360 Gen 2, Generation 2, was a great place for different consultants to all work collaboratively online, okay? And share files so that we didn't have to keep, remember we used to, you guys remember the days of FTP sites? We used to email or put our files up on FTP sites so that the consultants could download them, load them, reload latest into their project and work from there. And then we had to get theirs on an FTP site. And then we started sharing with there was different programs that are out there, or platforms that could handle these huge files. But we don't have to do that anymore with BIM 360. And so online, on the screen, what you see right here, a BIM 360 file has a big B in it, okay, right there. And so if you go to the admin interface or the list of files that you are invited to, you'll see B's in front of them all. B, 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 B in front. Now, I've only got a couple here to show you, but on other, on your account, you might have a bunch of them that are just a bunch of B's. That's Generation 2 BIM 360. Autodesk has now come out with Gen 3, the latest and greatest of the BIM 360 programs, and they're calling it ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud, okay? The Autodesk Construction Cloud is the latest and greatest. It has the most advanced collaboration tools available to even get all the RFIs in there. And I know they started doing that with BIM 360, but ACC brings in bridging to link two different projects together so that you can bring the files over from one project to the next. You've got your submittals, you've got, it just keeps on going. There's a lot that you can do. And the contractors love the newest, latest, and greatest ACC platform, Gen 3. So Generation 1 was Teams. Generation 2 has been BIM 360. We've all been there, and we're there now. But I'm encouraging you guys to start creating projects on ACC. It has all the same tools and more power. One of the biggest ones I'm going to tell you really fast is, we'll get to permissions in just a sec. One of the biggest advantages of the ACC platform is that you can compare two models, not just BIM 360, you could compare two models, but you could only compare the last one that you just had with the current one. That was all you could compare. But with ACC, you can compare models like a year ago, last year, May, what did our file look like? And what has been added, what has been changed, what has been deleted. You can compare any file with the current model. It's pretty amazing. Okay, anyway, let me get past that. We need to get on to permissions. When a file is created in ACC, it gets this little globe symbol under the type instead of the B, okay? So that is an ACC project. I'm going to take you into my architect's office ACC project. So here we are. I'm in the architect's office ACC project interface, and here are all the members. There's none except me, okay? I have been invited to the project by the account admin, and the account admin made me a project administrator. So if I'm a project administrator, I can add people to the project. I can add anyone I want. And here's how you add people. You click on this blue button up here, this beautiful blue, this big blue button there, click. Okay, and the interface pops up here for adding people. So I'm going to add someone. Let's just add Joe Structural. Okay, at structural engineers unlimited. Okay, that's their firm name. .com, whatever. Okay, Joe Structural, he's going to join us. Okay, and so that's his email address. So I'm going to put in his company name also. Okay, and I'm going to type in, he is from Structural Engineers Unlimited. Fantastic name. Got to put in there. Unlimited. Structural Engineers Unlimited. These guys are awesome. Okay, and I'm gonna click on his role. I'm gonna say he's an engineer, but it doesn't really matter. You don't have to add that if you don't want to. I'm making him a project member. If I were to click this radio button and make him a project administrator, he could go and add his whole team, and it gives him a lot of permissions, administrative permissions in the project. And in my humble opinion, don't go there. I remember being part of one project where they couldn't figure out the permissions thing, so they gave every single member they made every single member a project administrator, just because the permissions were too hard to deal with. Don't do that. In my humble opinion, just make them a project member, okay? And so let's just stop right there. I'm gonna hit, there's other packages that you can add them to, like design collaboration. You can click the buttons, or coordination of model coordination buttons. And so I'm just gonna hit add for now, add. So it's gonna add Joe Structural, okay? Takes a second for them to come popping up. Joe Structural will be popped up here in a sec, while it's in the background going to Autodesk.com. Joe Structural will be in here in just a minute. I'm gonna add one more member really fast, okay? I'm gonna add Joe, he's Joe again. How about, there he is, Joe Structural's in. Okay, how about Mark? Mark, I'm trying to think. Joe Structural, Mark. I'm gonna give him a name like MEP, Mark MEP. Or Mark Mechanical. Mark, that's his name. Mark Mechanical at, where's the at symbol? At MEPdudes.com. Okay, that's good. And so here I'm going to give him a company name, MEP Dudes. That's the name of his company. Okay. And I'm going to make him also, he's an engineer, project member at, okay. So Mark Mechanical is about to popped in here. So, oh, this didn't, it didn't list his company name. I'm going to, oh, I got to add his company. It didn't receive it because I forgot to, Mike. Okay, do we have, there we go. Mark Mechanical's in here also. Okay, no big deal. And so here's what I want to do. I want to give these guys a company name, select a company. I'm going to add, so on Mark Mechanical, MEP Dudes.com, no, just MEP Dudes. I forgot to hit the button, add that company, MEP Dudes. Sorry. So now MEP Dudes is a company in the system. Okay, I'm going to click on Joe Structural. And I'm going to add his company as let me just give him Structural I'm having a hard time spelling today. Structural Engineers Unlimited. There we go. And you have to click the little button that says add that company to the system. So now I have my company, Virtual BIM Management, and the MEP Dudes is a company, and Structural Engineers Unlimited is a company, and Mark Mechanical and Joe Structural are part of the system now, okay? So they have, when I put them in here, they got an email. An email went straight to them, and now they could click on it and be part of the project. But if they click on it and come to look at the files and all the project stuff that's in here, they're not going to see anything, because this right here, adding them as members, makes them a member of the project, but it doesn't give them permission to do anything or see anything. Okay, they're still blocked out. And that's where I get a lot of emails to me, Mike, how come none of my people that I've invited can see any of the files? Well, here's why. Let's go up to, and you switch up here in the top left corner, you switch it to Docs, and we're going to click on Files. Okay, you have to set the permissions for the different directories. Okay, and here's my folders. I'm going to expand my Revit models. This is how I set things up. Okay, on project files comes up automatically. It's part of BIM 360. It's part of ACC. Okay, I made a directory called Common Files. In Common Files, I put stuff like PDFs that are going to be for everybody, or if I've got any documents, like Word documents or anything that I wanted, like the BIM execution plan or the implementation plan, I would put it in there. Anything that's common to the whole team that they need to read. Maybe I've got a document in there of how we're going to name all of our files and how we are, maybe even the project schedule is going to be in there. That's what Common Files is for. I just made that directory, and that's where I put stuff like that. Then I made a directory called Revit Models, and I put 01 architecture, 02 structural, and 3 MEP. And you could put more. 04 lighting consultant, 05 kitchen consultant, or whatever. Those, the reason I put numbers on them is because it always puts the number ones up to the top. Okay, and then after the numbered directories are in, then it goes alphanumeric after that. And under that, I have common models, like a site, this actual site model. It's a Revit model, but it's a site or existing buildings, etc. Anything that's linking into maybe the architectural file. So let's just go here. Permissions. If I click, watch this. If I click on these 3 little dots over here at the top of project files, and I come down with my cursor and click on permissions, now all the team members are not going to be able to see this word permissions. Only the project admin is going to be able to see this word permissions, because the project admin is going to be setting the permissions. So when you click permissions, the dialog box pops up and it shows you the permissions. Look, I am the only one that can see any of the files. Okay, everybody else that's been invited, Joe MEP or Mark MEP and Joe Structural, they can't see anything. So I need to start giving them permissions to be able to see these files. And so across the top here, I can set the permissions for individual people, but that would be a hassle, because every time I add people, I would have to go give individual people the permissions. In BIM 360 and ACC, you can give an entire company the permissions. And even further, in ACC, wait for it, you can give everyone permissions. There's a new feature called Everyone. So I'm going to show you how to set those up. Look at this. I'm going to go to Project Files. I'm going to click on that permissions, and then this, I did the drop down already. Click and permissions, and it pops up over here. I hit this blue button over here, add a permission. Okay. And let me get my face out of the way. I'm going to add, watch this. I'm going to add, if I wanted to add an individual, I would just type his name, Joe Structural. I could give Joe Structural his permission level. I can make him view and download anything. Watch this, add. And now look, Joe Structural, an individual person, has been given permission at this level, and his permissions push downward to everything below that level. So he can view and download anything from the top down, anything in there, okay? And if I hit the remove button now, and I hit remove, now he can't view and download anything. So that's the permissions set for an individual person. But what if I had added Joe Structural and Johnny Structural and Mary Structural, a whole bunch of people from Structural Engineers Engineering Unlimited? I don't want to have to go add each person. I can add a company. So watch this. On the permission level, I can click permissions and I can hit add. And so instead of adding an individual name, I'm going to add a company. So look, there it is. Instead of Joe Structural, right here, I can add Structural Engineers Unlimited. Click. So now anybody at Structural Engineers Unlimited has view and download permissions. Okay, bam. So when I go to add more people from their company, they automatically have their permissions set because I gave the company permission. Okay, now that's what you're going to have to do if you're in BIM 360. You give each of the different companies permissions, or you can give a role permissions. I could say all engineers have permissions, or all construction managers have permissions, or all architects have permissions. You could give permissions based on role. Some people do that, but I don't tend to. I focus on companies, and I just give different companies. So look at this. At this high level, I gave Structural Engineering Unlimited some viewing, their permissions. But wait, in BIM 360, I would need to add also any company that's involved in the project, like the MEP dudes. So I'm going to hit add, and I want to add, here we go, the MEP dudes company also has view and download privileges. Okay, so here's what I want to tell you guys. Up at the project files level, give companies just view and download privilege for everything below it. Everything. They can view and download all the common files. They can view and download any of the Revit models that ever get placed in any of these folders, because I gave them permissions up at project files. Okay, they can view and download. That's good, because they need to be able to view and download any of the files, see them so they can link them into their model. Okay, now what I do is I go down to the individual folder for that company. Like the MEP dudes are going to upload their file into this MEP folder. So I'm going to click on the MEP folder, and the permissions are all inherited from higher above. You can see that I have full access, but the MEP dudes can only view and download files. The Structural Engineers Unlimited can only view and download. But in the MEP folder, I want their team to have much more control. So I up the ante on their permissions only in this one folder. So for the MEP dudes, I'm going to change it to view, download, publish markups, upload, and edit. Bam. I give them all the privileges they need except for full folder control. I'm still in control of that. I like, if they need me, because I don't want them to go rogue on me and make a zillion different folders inside their folder just all over the place. I kind of want to keep control over that. But if you don't, if you want to let the MEP guys go berserk and do whatever they want in that folder, you can give them full manage rights to that folder, okay? And it's right here at the bottom. It is full administrative rights to that folder, but I don't usually do that. I just leave it at all the way to the edit stage, okay? That being said, let's do that for the structural guys. The structural guys, if you click and go to permissions for structural guys, the structural team needs the edit full, do their markups. Here it is, view, download, publish markups, upload, and edit. They need higher privileges on their folder, okay? All right, that is how you set it up in BIM 360 or ACC. An extra feature, which is kind of fun, is up here at common files, not common files, I mean higher, project files. In project files, there's a new feature that comes with ACC. Look at this, add. Wait for it, let me just type it in. Everyone, every single person has view, wait a minute, wait for it, view and download files, add. So now, anybody that I add to the project, anybody that I invite, I don't have to come here and add their company any longer to have access to all these files below. So from project files level, I can get rid of MEP dudes, remove, structural engineers, remove. So now every single person that is ever added to this project, everyone has view and downloads to every one of the folders below project files, okay? Which is a great feature. You don't really have this in BIM 360 because it's Gen 2, but Gen 3, the ACC, has everyone as an option, which is powerful. And now I just go make sure that structural, look, structural engineers has editing rights to their folder, and MEP dudes has editing rights to their folder. All right. I'm sure there are lots more things that I could show you about permissions, but that's the basics right now. You have to add people and tell them what company they are working with or what role they have. And then you can set permissions for the folder structure based on that company or that individual or that role. All right. I hope this helps. I know I have babbled on for about half an hour, and so I think I'm done for now. But if you have questions about permissions, ask them down in the comments below. All right. I think that's all for now. You guys have a fantastic day. And until we meet again, happy Reviting. Okay. Bye-bye.